Now, there is a theory or fact in physics which is called as the second law of thermodynamics. It's a very big word, but it's very simple to understand. It basically says that things move from order to disorder. For example, suppose if you don't take off this place, if you don't take care of it, eventually, the paint is going to peel off, the dust is going to pile up, and eventually, things are going to disintegrate. So from order to disorder, this is what this law says. Now, if you take this law to the logical consequences, this whole universe is a big system. It also has to move from order to disorder. So what the scientists have said, that if long enough time passes, that means we will be in the total state of disorder. Each single atom within myself, within the whole world out there, they are moving, they are revolving, each single atom.
Yes.
Electron and protons and neutrons within each single atom. All that energy is one day going to expire. So we will be eventually going through the heat death of the universe. So that is what eventually will happen if long enough time passes. So when we converse with the atheists sometimes, or people who deny God, they say that this world is in existence forever. It is infinite.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, right? It has always been like this. But according to the second law of thermodynamics, if long enough time passes, we'll be in a state of total chaos and heat death. That means I shouldn't be speaking. There should not be any sun, moon, or any motion to begin with. That only happens if long enough time passes. I'm speaking, you're hearing, right? You have the monitors, you have the lights up here. That means we are not in the state of heat death, are we?
No.
We are not. Since we are not in the state of heat death, that means long enough time has not passed. If long enough time has not passed, that means the time began, the universe began. If the universe began, that means anything that begins to exist has to have a beginner.
Yeah.
Now suppose if you are traveling from Europe to United States of America. You just cannot travel, you have to have certain documents. And you have to enter through certain port of entry. And there would be some police, some guards standing up there, they will check your documents. So you have to have something. And once you land at the airport, you have to go to your house, you have to have some transportation. Maybe a car, and the car has to be safe enough so you don't, it protects you from the rain, wind, and all of that. And once you reach inside the house, you have to have certain way that you go inside the house, and you have to travel by highways, correct? So if you take that analogy, my dear friend Eddie, each single cell is more complicated and more efficient than any city or any nation or the whole world combined. Each single cell.
Wow.
Each cell has a cell membrane, and that cell membrane has special points of entry. And there are guards up there, special proteins and enzymes that only let certain chemicals in and certain chemicals out, number one. For those chemicals that are taken in, they have to go to their destination. So there are special highways which are called as cytoskeletons within the cell. Just imagine this. And then those cells, they have certain semis or certain trucks that takes those chemicals to their proper destination. And each cell and each of those vesicles or those transportation systems, they have a GPS system just to make sure that chemical has to go to the right destination. And after they reach there, the trucks, they don't just stand up there within the cell. They have to be loaded off. So there are special chemicals that load them off.
This is all in our body?
All in our body, all the 50 trillion cells, they are working day in and day out. This kind of a process.
Amazing. Subhanallah.
Yes. And again, let's take this to a higher level now. Suppose once you reach your home, you want to buy a book from Amazon, for example.
Yes.
Now, Amazon doesn't publish the books, it only packages and it sends the books, ships the books out. So within each cell, you have a plant that produces the proteins, which are the ribosomes. Then you have a plant that packages, just like Amazon, you have the Golgi apparatus that packages the plant in such a way that in the mail it doesn't get damaged. It reaches the proper destination. Right? Now, once you're inside the house, you have to have the lights, you have to have electricity to function your computer, your television, and all the appliances. So within each cell, you have a plant house or a power plant, which is called the mitochondria, that supplies all the energy to the whole cell and the whole body. All right? Now, once we are inside the house, sometimes we have to dispose some of the garbage, and garbage trucks, they pick up each day, each week of the day, of the year, right?
Yes.
You have to have that. If you don't, then it's going to be health hazard, whatever, to the city and to the house. In the same way, there are certain chemicals which are called lysozymes inside the cell that are the garbage disposable units of the cell.
All this is working in the body.
In the body, inside each single cell.
And you don't even have to pay the workers inside.
You don't have to
It's
pay
all
at
free.
all. It's all free, my dear brother.
Yeah.
Yes. So look at it. A full functional city inside each single cell.
Wow.
Day in and day out, more efficient and more complicated than Paris, London, Chicago, or Rome for matter.
But the same way you wouldn't assume if you saw those electric poles and all those power lines going to their proper places, if you had that same setup, like you said, Paris, or even a small community for that amusement park, and you see all the different rides and the roller coasters, the houses, 2 flats, everything is set up, and you ask, who's the developer? Oh, it just popped up like this. We wouldn't accept that, would we?
We won't, obviously. That would be impossible. Just like they said that Rome was not built overnight, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't built overnight. So it took intelligent human beings for a long number of days and weeks and years to build Rome, one city.
Yes.
How can we imagine that this complicated city, which is the cell, was built by chance without any intelligence?
And from what you're telling us, this cell is more complex than any amusement park, any 2-flat, any big skyscraper, any city, any of these things.
Not just complicated, more efficient.
More efficient also.
Yeah. Not every complicated thing is good or efficient, but cell has 2 characteristics, complicated and efficient.